my teacher, my yoga teacher, Donna Fari, she wrote this book, Bringing Yoga to Life. I don't know, a long time ago. It's very dog-eared, my copy. But one of the chapters in this book is about the freedom of discipline. And a lot of times we don't think of discipline as having freedom attached. We think of discipline as having, like rigidity and control. But ultimately, when we have discipline in our lives, we actually cultivate a lot of freedom, a lot of capacity for a sense of spaciousness and openness when we kind of like have banks on the river. So the river can flow when there's structure around the river. And I know, children feel this when there's a sense of understanding what the boundaries are. Children do really well, and so do us adults. We do well when we have a sense of boundary, or what's the plan, right? So some people are very disciplined by nature, and perhaps they need a little more spaciousness around discipline. And then other people by nature are not very disciplined. And so, kind of cultivating some practices around discipline can be very helpful. So, I don't know where you fall in that spectrum, but I just wanted to read to you a quote by Gotra that's in this book. So, this is about discipline, or actually it's about commitment, which is really a similar thing. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness concerning all acts of initiative and creation. There is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. And that truth is this: that the moment one definitively commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance which no man could have dreamed would have come his way. Whatever you can do or dream, you can begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. So, what I love about that is the faith and trust that when you commit and lean into something with discipline, that the universe leans back, or however you view it. Doesn't have to be the universe, but that there are supportive structures around us when we truly heart center commit to something. So that doesn't mean paths are easy. It just means that there's support. So close your eyes for a moment and think about something in your life that maybe you're struggling to have discipline around or commit to, or maybe you're doing really well and you've made a vow or a commitment within yourself for something in your life. And notice that the resoluteness, the steadfastness that comes from commitment, and how that can flourish into discipline that is very helpful. So let's drop in. And if you're having a day where you're like, my discipline is all over, I have no discipline, I need more discipline, then come onto your mat for practice. That this is where we start to cultivate and strengthen these muscles. So drop into this moment. Feel into the breath. Notice how you are here and now. And remember that the body and mind are one. So if your mind is feeling a little untethered or scattered, then perhaps the discipline and resoluteness of the body can support the mind. And same, maybe you're having a little untethering in the body, and the stability of the breath or the mind can help harness your sense of discipline in the body. So breathe into what's here. Feel the stoutness of your heart. Melt into the eyes, melt into the jaw. See what release you can find. So let's not forget that steadiness is balanced by ease, that we need both for a sense of commitment and discipline. How is your diaphragm? Are you gripped or tense? Is there mobility and freedom in your breath, in your belly? And don't worry if there's not. Just start to notice. So take less judgment to what you're noticing and just notice. All right, and as you are ready, place the palms together at the heart. Let's take a moment to drop our awareness into that head, heart, and hands connection. Set an intention. This is part of our discipline, part of our commitments is intentions. Let's release the hands and come on to our back. All right, so find your way. Let's enjoy. So stretch and lengthen. And it can feel so good just to be on your back and enjoy a morning stretch. So reach the right, reach the left. Enjoy the revving of the nervous system a little bit. Feel free to have a little squeeze or a little breath, whatever feels good. And then when you're ready, bring your knees into your chest and give yourself a nice hug. And feel free to start rocking a little bit. Swaying from side to side. And let's circle. So draw the knees in a little bit if you want, and circle one direction. Just feel across the sacrum, feel across the back body. And circle the knees another direction. And then let's open up the knees and bring them back in toward each other. Open them up. Bring them back in. Just feel into what's available in your hip joints here, what's in the range of motion access today. And then right knee comes into the chest, left leg long on the floor, and feel into some movement, rolling around your ankles, feeling into your feet. Let your feet wake up and have eyes, like they are as sensitive and capable as your hands. Change sides, left knee and right leg comes along on the floor, and feel some movement about. Moving the feet, moving the ankles, feeling how this affects your calves, your shins, the muscles in the sides of your calf. And then grab onto both feet and be gentle with this happy baby pose. So it's a big posture if you haven't moved much yet today. And just feel free to rock a little bit from side to side. And then open your body out like a star. Stretch to your edges, wiggle fingers and toes. Exhale, knees in. Chest comes up. One more time. Our breath is our guide. Find your breath. See if you can be patient with the exhales. Try not to trip over them for your next breath. And let's put our feet down onto the ground. We're going to take our feet as wide as the edges of the mat and just drop your knees one side and then the other. And feel free to stretch opposite arm away, maybe even turn your head. You can find your way into any movement that works for your body. All right, North Star, stretch into the breath. Use it as an opportunity to fully inhale and then fully exhale, knees into your chest. And then find your way over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. All right, so let's start moving. You can start with some cat-cows if that's what feels really nice in your body. Feel free to move about in any way that serves. Okay, so you don't have to stay in the rut of just flexion and extension. You can move your spine around in all sorts of ways. So explore what your range of motion is today. How's your neck? How are your shoulders? How's your back? How's your sacrum? How's your hips? And then stretch back towards child's pose. Take the knees as wide as you want. Walk those hands forward, inch them away. Feel free to kind of rock a little bit into the hips here. And then open up, walk your hands over to one side and feel the breath broaden. So we're stretching from our fingers to our hip, feeling the breath touch all those places. And then back to the other side, inching your hand over. Feel that sense of expansion in your breathing. Coming back to center, find your way up again, curl your toes under, and then stretch back onto or toward your feet. So hips back toward the heels, our toes are curled under. Feel into the openness of the soles of the feet and spread out your bones. And then come back up. You can smack your feet on the ground if your toes need a little reprieve, and find a twist. Left arm lifting to the sky. Exhale and slide that shoulder under. Enjoy what you're feeling here. Breathing deeply. All right. And find your way back up, hand to the sky, and place it down. Ground two hands, switch sides when you're ready. Right arm lifts up. Exhale and slide that shoulder underneath. Gaze toward the floor. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away. All right. Inhale, reach that arm all the way up to the sky. Hand comes down onto the ground and find dog pose. So we're rising up now. Come on to the feet and the hands. Feel free to move about any which way you want. So you can pedal your feet, get used to feeling into the calves, lifting the sit bones, just feel the backs of the legs open. You can move a little bit or none. You can move fast or slow. Just find your way into embodiment. So what helps you? Does a little bit of movement help you embody? Does stillness help you embody? For sure, breath will help you embody. All right, so ground now through the index finger mounds. Hug your hands toward the midline. Feel your feet hug away from the midline. And you don't always have to do these actions, but just notice what stabilizes when you do. And then walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Fold. You can bend your knees as much as you want to. Halfway lift, the spine is growing, the thigh bones moving back. Spread open the bones of your feet. And then relax and melt again. Rising on up, Bring the arms to the sky. All right, so feel into the breath. You can open up to whatever place is comfortable for you. Maybe even lean back a little bit if you want to. Just see what's available in the heart space today. So remember, we're trying to maintain that stout heart, the lifted and open heart. Breathing well. Let's cactus open the arms. Feel the back of your body. Engage a little bit. Hug the shoulder blades toward each other. And then release the hands down. Give them a good shake. Find the breath. We're going to come up onto the tippy toes, arms up overhead. Just feel a little bit of balance challenge. Spread across your toes. Engage a bit through your core. Find your breathing. And then let your heels descend. Touch your feet together and come low into a chair. Bring your arms back behind you. So lower your body a bit more than you would in a normal chair. Drop some weight into your heels. See what's available. Now imagine that you're going to stand up straight, but you're not. So push into the floor. Start activating the backs of your legs a little bit more. Start to lift your chest without changing the position of your legs. Maybe your arms come up to chair pose. All right, so find your breath. You can always do this with your feet apart with a block between your knees. Take any modifications you need for your body. All right, and then rise all the way back up. Exhale, separate your feet, fold forward, Uttanasana. Relax your neck, soften your skull. Halfway lift, the legs get longer and straighter. The spine gets longer and straighter. Feel the bottom of your feet. Exhale and melt. All right, let's take our hands to the outside of our knees, squat a little bit. So we're, our feet are still hip width apart. We're bending our knees. Press your knees into your hands into your knees. Feel the grounding in your feet. Start to wake up some musculature in your legs, in your hips. Breathing. And then melt and fold. Halfway lift again. Spine gets longer. Exhale and step back to dog pose. What foot do you always take back? Try to take your other foot back a few times here and there. Feel into the length of your body. Deep breaths in. Deep breaths away. All right, let's come forward into a plank. Steady yourself. Integrate into the core. Now notice when you integrate, do kind of collapse anywhere. Is the heart sinking in? See if you can lift the heart forward in front of you a little bit, your shoulder blades down the back. Find your core support, find your legs, your glutes. And then find the floor when you're ready. Be very mindful how you come down. So I always put my knees down first because my shoulder prefers that. But you do you. So whatever support you need, let's roll the shoulders a few times here. And then when you're ready, cobra pose. So keep your elbows bent, shoulders down. Lower yourself to the floor. Twice more with breath. Stretch your legs. Inhale to rise up. Don't hold your breath. Just let your exhale come. And lower yourself down. One more time. No hands. See what it feels like to support. Now with this one, instead of coming down, keep breathing, but stay up. Keep the neck long, elbows pull back, shoulder blades down toward the lumbar spine. Engage your core. Breathing deeply. And then exhale and melt. Come up onto your hands and knees and take that out of your spine. So move around. You can swish, you can swirl, you can do a cat-cow. Anything that's going to ease up the muscles of your back. And then find your way back to child's pose. Settle the hips toward the heels. So remember, our sense of discipline can live in our body. It can live in our mind. It can live in our breath. And it's best when it lives in all three. Know yourself. If you're very rigid, if you're kind of the type A, then make sure you're creating spaciousness and ease around your discipline. We don't want to be too tight. We don't want to be too loose. So where's your Goldilocks sensation in mind, body, and breath? Come up onto all fours when you're ready. Take your right leg straight back behind you, left arm out in front of you. Find that bird dog. Find the breath. Stretch into your hand and your foot, and let's open the arm and leg out to the side. So as we cantilever away from the midline, there's a lot of leverage. Use your core. Use your outer hip. Toes are facing the ground. Okay, come back to center, a long spine, long arm hand. On your next exhale, tuck underneath, elbow and knee come toward each other. Inhale, bring it on out. Exhale, out to the side again, toes down, thumb up. Inhale, length. Exhale, elbow and knee. Stretch out one more time. Place that hand and knee down onto the ground. Move your spine about. Notice if your wrist took a little too much pressure, so make sure you're aware of how your hand ends up on the ground. Second side, left leg, right arm. Integrate into the core of your body. Feel the neck stay loose and long. Stretch into your hand and your foot. Integrate your core. As we bring our arm out to the right and our leg out to the left, toes down, thumb up, integrate into the core of your body. Feel what your arm and leg on the ground are doing as much as the arm and leg in the air. Find your breathing. And then come back to the long spine, long arm, leg. Exhale and bring the elbow and knee toward each other underneath you. Inhale, bring it long. Exhale, bring it out. Leg and arm come out. Inhale, bring it long. Exhale, elbow and knee come underneath. Find that length again. Place your hand down, child's pose. Let your body rest. Move around in your wrists if you need a little break. Check in with your spine. Make sure your body can handle all the positions you're doing. If anything is irritating to your back or anywhere else, be very mindful of how you modify. If you need help, always let me know. Curl the toes under and lengthen upwards. Come to dog pose. Find your breath here. Inhale and exhale. And walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. One more time. Squat in that low chair. Our torso is low. Have your feet hip width apart. Hands on outer knees. Lengthen through your spine. And then reach the arms up. Chair pose. Feel your glutes and your hamstrings. Kick them into gear. Weight into the heels. When you're ready, rise all the way up. Maybe lean back. See what your body feels like. Exhale and relax to Tadasana. Pause here for a moment. We're going to drop some weight into the right leg. We're going to tip open to the side. Oops, I have things in the way. Okay, so tip open to the side. Toes pointing toward the, forward toward your front of your mat, and then stretch your arms as well. So only tip, you may tip just a teeny bit, or you may tip a lot, but engage where your core is still stabilizing you. Reach into all your limbs, crown, tail, hands, legs. And then relax back to your chair. Palms together, low squatty stance here in your chair. And come up, stand on your left leg, tip over to the left, right leg in the air. Both arms stretching. Find your breath. Ground into those four corners of the foot on the ground. Notice your knee, try not to hyperextend. Take any tension away from your neck and shoulders that you can. Okay, exhale. Come back one more time, hands together, a squatty chair, and then reach the arms to a full chair. Find your breath. Super slow. Start to rise up like you weigh so much, so it's so hard. You have to push into the ground to get yourself to be standing straight, and then all the way up onto your tippy toes. And then exhale and release. Your hands. Pause here for a moment. Come into the experience of yielding and breathing. take our legs wide. So turn to the long edge of your mat and find a goddess. So just like we've been doing, lean forward first so that we get used to opening up our legs. Put your hands on your knees, round the four corners of your feet. Try to spin your toes back, heels forward. Start to come upright a little bit more. You can still keep your hands on your knees if you want, or you can start bringing your hands somewhere else. Okay? It's okay if you want to just kind of like go left, right a little bit. Feel your feet, ground yourself, open the breath. And then if you're able, lift your arms to the sky. Feel the shoulder blades on the back. Feel your core. Breathing deeply. And stand up all the way straight. Okay, turn your right foot out and find your way to Virabhadrasana 2, warrior. Okay, so feel how broad. Now remember, especially if your knee's bothering you, you can be up here. The pose does not have to be super deep. You can be wherever you are. Take your hands in any position that serves your body and breath. Ground yourself. So get used to your legs, even if your mind says, oh, I don't like the work. Your legs like the work. So like tell them to be in charge instead of your mind. So feel into the effort of your legs and how they're built for this. Straighten your leg up. And we're going to do the same pose to the second side. So turn your feet out left. Go ahead and find your lunge. Bring your arms wherever serves. Remember, your pelvis can turn a little bit, especially if your hip feels a little tight. It's okay. Just organize your pelvis around where your front heel, your knee, and your sit bone can stay on that plane. Soften the breath. Soften the shoulders. See what is available to have that balance of effort and ease. What effort? Of course, there's effort. Yield into the earth. Give to the earth. Rebound from it. Fill your muscles with strength. See if you can kind of keep all of them online and working, and then settle into something that's easy. Maybe your neck and shoulders, or your jaw, or your tongue. Find your breath permeating your whole body. All right, let's go ahead and straighten the legs. 2 feet pointing straight. Bring your hands down and just enjoy the width of your body, width of your legs. All right, turn back to the front of your mat, put your hands down, and come into dog pose. Full inhales and exhales. All right, let's come forward into a plank. Integrate the core. Now 2 hands down the ground, but we're going to lift our right leg up in the air. Find your breath. 3-legged plank. Bring your leg a little bit out to the side, toes toward the floor. Feel your core. Okay, bring them on back. Put that foot down onto the ground. Second side. Lift your whole leg from your glute, from your core. Bring that left leg out to the side a few inches, toes toward the ground. And back to center. Lower yourself safely to the floor. Take a cobra pose, open breath. Exhale and melt. Come back to all fours, move the spine about. And then find your way to child's pose. Settle the hips toward the heels, let your body rest a moment. All right, we're gonna come up into Vasisthasana, and we're gonna do this twice. So I want you to choose a couple of different directions for today. So here, I'll start on my left, so it's mirroring your right. So we're gonna start on our right, and for the first one, have your shin on the ground, perpendicular to the length of your mat. So instead of having your calf, your lower leg in line with your hand and foot, put it perpendicular. All right, so open up the chest. You can always put your hand on a block. You can have your hand just an inch or 2 forward of your shoulder, whatever feels stable.
Shoulder blades down the back. Open the stout heart to the hands. Breathing well. All right, now if you can, lift the leg in the air. And I'm running out of room, but you can lift it just an inch or two or a whole lot, whatever feels capable. And then relax and melt onto all fours. Maybe do a little bit of a cat-cow, ease up your spine. And then we're gonna find our way to the other side. Left hand on the ground, left shin perpendicular to the length of your mat, foot on the floor, right foot on the floor. Okay, so line up hand, knee, and foot, open across your chest. Feel the openness in this pose, the stability in this pose. Make sure your shoulder blade is firm so that you're supporting that shoulder on the ground. And when you are ready, maybe your foot comes up like an inch off the floor. You may not get very far, and that's okay. What is helping you stabilize here? Use your core. So obviously your outer hips are going to be doing a lot of work, but press your shin into the ground. Use your core. Shoulder blades are firm. How's the breath? And then relax. Spin back one more time. All fours, maybe child's pose. Whatever feels good to rest in between sides. This next one, we're not going to necessarily lift our leg. We can, but I'm going to give you two choices for how to position your legs. So you can choose to have now your shin parallel to your hand and foot on the ground. So it's parallel with the long edge of the mat. And this is a little bit less stable than the other way. So you can do the pose this way, and then you can choose to lift your leg if you want. And then if you want, you can come into full Vasisthasana instead, where you have, just your feet and your hand on the ground. And same, if you want to lift your leg, go ahead and lift your leg. So whichever variation you're doing, find your way. Use your core, use your outer hips, use your shoulder blades, use your breath. And then we're going to find our way down and find our way into a little bit of rest between sides. Breathing well, maybe a cat-cow, whatever feels good. And maybe you have a shoulder that is very stable on one side and not very stable on the other side. So you choose, they don't have to look the same. The two sides don't have to look the same. So just see what it feels like, depending on what you're doing, to either have the shin parallel to the length of the mat. So your hand, your shin, and your foot are lined up. You can choose to come and lift that leg in the air if you want to. Or maybe you're doing a full Vasisthasana where just your feet and your hands are on the ground. Maybe you're lifting your leg away from the other leg. It doesn't matter. Whatever choice you're making. And then go ahead and come out of there and rest. Come to child's pose and put your arms down at your sides. Let your shoulders soften and melt. Breathing. All right, one more thing we're going to do on the ground here before we come back up to some standing postures is make yourself on a slack line. So we're on a narrow length of mat stacking. So we're not bananaing our body. So look down the length of you and make sure your feet are not forward of your shoulders. Then we're going to lift the arm in the air. Find your breath, and we're going to lift the leg in the air. So your leg that's on the ground, press it into the earth, the whole leg, the whole length of your leg. Engage your core. Lift the whole length of your leg in the air. Keep the neck as soft and neutral as you can. Find your breath. Let's go ahead. And all this abduction, just kind of moving away from the midline, requires a lot of strength in our outer hip muscles. So let's take notice of what we're doing here and how hard this can be. So don't worry if you're like, this is movements that are difficult for me. That's okay. All right, so now keep your hand on your hip or raise it up, whichever feels good, but we're gonna work with the side waist. So the, kind of where your drawstring would be on a pair of pants, your belt line. See if you can, on your inhale, relax into the earth with your side body. And as you exhale, lift so that you're creating like a little gap underneath your side waist. And then relax on your inhale. So this can feel counterintuitive. Oftentimes when we want to lift something, we feel like inhaling, but try to remember that you're lifting on the exhale. You're lifting your side waist off the floor on the exhale. So if you were in class with me yesterday, we worked on the obliques a lot in a totally different way than this, but to see if you can kind of have the body memory of those side bodies. All right, now hold your side bodies in, hug your, like as if you're drawing the drawstring, lift the arm, lift the leg. Lots of core stability. Try not to let your neck take the posture for you. And then release and melt. Come rolling onto your back, bring your knees to your chest and rock a little bit. Just find some ease. So remember, discipline is not just strength. It's not just grit. Commitment does not have to mean hardness. Resoluteness does not have to be concrete. There can be flow. It's better when there's flow. There can be adaptability, compromise. Things shift and change. Can you adapt to that? This is all part of the sense of discipline and commitment. It's not rock hard all the time. So as you come into your physical body and you have these poses that form a lot of stability, remember to find ease. So notice, especially the neck and shoulders, those are our, powerhouses. They want to do everything. Check in with your body for places. Okay, let's come on to that long skinny line on the left, arm up, bring the leg up too. Right, so where are you firm and where are you at ease? Can you find the at ease embedded, infusing, flowing within the effort? Use your breath for this. Press your leg into the ground as much as your leg isn't moving into the air. And relax your legs. You can put your hand on your hip or you can maintain the hand in the air. And we're going to start working with the side waist. Exhale to melt the side waist. Relax. Inhale to engage your transverse abdominis and your obliques. There's some synchronized movements with breath that is very helpful. If you can engage your transverse abdominis on the exhales, this is a wise use of core stabilization. We're going to need this where we're going next. So, it's easy on the floor. Well, not easy, but we can kind of isolate this action because we're not having to control our body in space very much. All right, now engage your mouse hole. I always call it that little gap under your side waist. Draw your drawstring in and then hang out there. So engage, keep breathing, even though you're fully engaged, and then lift your arm and leg. Now notice when you're here, there's usually a lot of tension. There's usually a lot of grip. So bring the breath, relax your neck and shoulders, find the ease flow. And then relax and melt and find your way to child's pose. Or on your back and bring your knees to your chest, whatever feels natural to rest for a moment. And we're going to come over onto all fours or just come up onto all fours and lift to dog pose. All right, so enjoy this long extension in the body. Then walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Relax your head. Feel the flow of your breath. Halfway lift. Melt and relax again. Bend your knees, stand on up. And notice, because we've worked with a lot of these stabilizing muscle groups of our hips and our core, notice what Tadasana feels like. Is there anything different here that you're noticing? All right, we're gonna take you need a block for this. We take your legs wide apart. Okay. And most of you probably know what's coming, but we're going to come into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. So for some people like to come at it from side angle pose. Some people like to come at it from triangle pose. However you want to begin the process, eventually you're going to hop up onto your right foot. And when you do, make sure your foot doesn't turn in or out. Try to keep it pointing to the short edge of your mat. And we're going to rise up to Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Now this posture, it throws our balance. It's obviously a big balance pose. So if you need a little hack, take your right hand toward the pinky toe side of your foot more on the block so that you have a little broader base. Now notice if your back arches, puff out your kidneys, engage your side waist, draw the drawstring, lift that leg, soften the knee you're standing on. Keep the neck and shoulders at ease. Flow into the crown tail alignment. All right, come back out the way you came in and come on up. Now, a lot of this pose, we kind of feel that our balance comes from just locking out joints. Try to unlock your joints, especially your standing leg, and instead reach into the hips and core to stabilize you in this pose. All right, so second side. So I'm going to scoot over so I have a little room. You can come at it from triangle pose or Parsvottanasana, whichever you like. So and feel free to kind of hang out there for a moment, get your grounding, feel your roots, and then root into that left foot. Hop up onto it, take the block with you, a little toward the pinky toe side of your foot if you want. Notice your back. If you're real arched, if you're swaying your back, engage your core more, puff out your kidneys, find your drawstrings on your side waist, lift that leg in the air, check in with the knee you're standing on and make sure it's mobile, that you're not locked out. Feel the roots into your foot. Open across your chest. If your balance is really good, maybe you want, I'm not ready for that right now. Maybe you want to look up toward the sky. Okay. Reach into the crown and tail, stabilize the core of the body. Now, when you come out, it's important to come out the way you came in. So step that foot back and then come on up to stand. Walk your back foot forward and just come to stand at the front of your mat again. Tadasana, enjoy your 2 feet, this deep sense of grounding. Inhale, rise up with your arms. Exhale, and float forward. Let your back relax some. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt again. Soften the knees. All right, come back to dog pose. Full breaths here. Long spine. Take your feet a little wider and turn your toes in now. Find the breath. All right, bring your feet back to hip width apart. Come forward into a plank. Integrate into the full center line of the body. All right. Lower yourself down when you're ready. Roll the shoulders. Okay. Last effort for the outer hips. Lift your kneecaps up, curl your toes under, let your legs spread wider. Lift your legs. Think less about trying to work so much in the outer hips and more about just hugging onto the sacrum for some balancing. Your shoulders can move away from the ears. You can bring your upper body up too and bring your arms somewhere, whatever feels good. And then relax and melt. Put your head, either turn your head from one side to the other or put your forehead on your hands and just lift up your feet and windshield wiper your feet left and right. Come on up onto all fours and then flip over onto your back. Feet are on the ground. Find your breathing. We're going to scoot the hips over to the right. Actually, before you do that, cross your right leg over to the left. Find your breath. Now scoot your hips over to the right. And we're going to drop your knees to the left. Now you can use a block if you need to underneath your calf or shin or knee. Open up your body to a twist. Enjoy your breathing. And then come back up. Keep your legs right in the same position, right thigh over left thigh, but scooch back to neutral with your pelvis. Have a breath there. And then we're going to scooch keep the legs right leg over left, but scoot the hips to the left. And we're going to drop our knees over to the right. Okay, so I like to use a block underneath my legs. You do you. Maybe you don't need that. Find your breathing. Twisting the other way. Okay, and then come back up. Readjust your pelvis. Take your feet hip width apart, feet on the ground. Have a breath here. Okay, we're going to put the left thigh on top of right thigh now. Okay, we're going to scooch the hips over to the right. And we're going to drop the knees left. So twisting left, but the left thigh is now on top of the right thigh instead of the other. Breathing deeply. As your knees drop left, support if you need to with a block. Turn your head right if you can. Inhale and lift your knees up. Neutralize your pelvis. Keep your left thigh on top of your right thigh. Move hips over to the left now and drop knees over to the right. Use a block if you need it underneath your legs. So now that we're, have found the floor, see if you can allow gravity to help you. This earth is there to support you. Rest your upper body. Your head, let it be heavy. And come back to a neutral place. Okay, so you have a choice now. You can do right thigh over left thigh and bring your knees to your chest. You can do right foot over left knee and bring your left knee toward your chest for a reverse pigeon, or you can flip over and do pigeon pose. So just find your favorite hip stretch, whatever that might mean for you. And this will feel good, hopefully, after all the outer hip work we did. When you abduct your legs, your gluteus medius and minimus are the very strong movers of that. And also your TFL, which is, part of the IT band, is the tendon for your TFL. So those muscle groups right here in your outer hips get a lot of effort, obviously, in the poses that we just did. So I'm hoping the twist and this pose will kind of help you ease things up. All right, so if you're in pigeon pose, take any pose really, take any support you need. Breathing fully. What can surrender here? What can let go? Are you cultivating the part of commitment and discipline that is a state of flow? All right, let's change sides whenever you are ready. And that doesn't mean you have to do the same pose on both sides, but it could mean that. So whatever position you're taking, either thigh over thigh or reverse pigeon or pigeon, make sure that your pelvis feels content, that there's a sense of balance, that there's a sense that you're not straining a joint. There's so many joints involved in these poses. Your SI joint, your low back, your hip, your knee, your ankle. So make sure that check in with all of those joints and make sure everything's okay. And then rest your head, rest your bones. See what can be supported and let that place go. Free up your tongue and your jaw. All right. So as you come away from that posture, we have a minute or so before Shavasana. So choose how you enter into Shavasana. Is there any other part of your body that needs some releasing? Is there a pose that you've been craving? Are you happy for just an extra bit of time in Shavasana? So just find the pathways that works for your practice for today, for right now. And whenever you're ready, there's zero rush. But as you start to prepare for Shavasana, remember that warmth is important, that supporting joints is important, that cultivating a way of lying that facilitates an ease of breath. So as you transition to Shavasana, take any support that's needed. Lying down is a gift. It really, truly is a gift. So let your body receive. this plane, this orientation to the earth and to gravity. Melt what you can, and then melt some more. Make sure you're able to breathe well. Scan for any teeny pockets that are harboring some tension. Bring ease as best as you can. Again, deepen your breathing. Keep melting, so don't move just yet. To feel into the melting quality. Start to transition as you're ready. Invite movement in. Eventually find your side. And allow yourself to support yourself with your hands to push up to sit. Let's feel into our presence. for your practice. Share your energy. Send your love and care to another. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.
You have a wonderful.
Jenny.
Hi.